Grant, good to see you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
How often do you just walk down the street and somebody's like, sign this? Does that happen a lot?
In New York, it happens more, I feel like, than normal, but that's just because it's a sports city.
Is it weird because on a much lower level, like if I'm going to do like a comedy show or music show, people will bring stuff and I know they're going to sell it. It's like when a 53-year-old dude comes up with something to sign. Like I know, and my stuff won't go for as much as yours, so.
No, maybe.
No, it won't at all. But doesn't that feel a little weird? Like you know all you're doing is signing something that some dude's just probably going to flip real quick.
It depends. Like I always check, like when I'm in during the season, if I see a blue marker, I typically don't sign. So if it's black or gold or something like that, I'll sign it, but blue, I typically don't sign.
Why is that?
Blue is what typically gets sold. That's what I got told. Like if you think about Panini cards, we sign a blue marker, and everything that typically like you see online is typically in blue.
So I'll tell my son not to carry a blue marker.
Yeah, if you don't carry a blue marker, we're pretty good on getting the signature.
So we live in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know, how you feel about Barnes? How you feel about the program now?
I feel like they're doing great. I don't know how many years Barnes got left in them. I feel like if they end up being bad, I feel like Barnes is going to step away. But I think that at the same time, they're one of the best teams in the country every year, so they'll stay competitive. This year it's going to be different because there's a team full of transfers and freshmen. So I'm excited what Coach Barnes is going to be able to do with that group, and I wish in years past that Dalton year was probably their best year to do it.
What about NIL? Do you wish that had been way more prevalent whenever you were playing?
Yeah, let's just say I was a 3-star recruit, so it's not like I was getting paid out of high school like some guys. So if I would definitely went back, I definitely could have made probably $2 million or something like that year especially after the 2 back-to-back SEC Player of the Years. But NIL didn't kick in until 2 years after I left school, so it was after COVID. Technically, I could have been a super senior, but I wouldn't have wanted to be in school that long.
As far as fitness goes, what do you do when it's not time to do you officially?
Yeah.
Like, how are you staying in shape?
Honestly, it starts with just like the biking and stuff like that. I like cycling, I like golfing. I like trying to stay active. Walks. Honestly, I enjoy being in Europe because it's a walkable city, New York, places like that, because you can get around, use the metro, subway, and just kind of move around. I'm not really the guy that walks around with security or really worries about anything, so that's part of the reason why I love being in a city like this. So it's been really fun.
When the season gets closer, how do you change your regimen?
Ramp up everything else. Diet's probably the number one thing for me, just because working out I always will do, but eating is probably my biggest kryptonite. So figuring out what you're eating, how much you're eating, that's probably my number one thing for fitness.
How many shots you need to get up a session? Do you have a number, or is it feel?
It's more so feel, but at the same time, I typically get like 200, 300 at least in that one time a day, and then maybe I go back. But, over time, it was thousands, and it just depends on what time of the season you're in and what you think you need.
What do you feel like you bring now at this stage of your career?
Honestly, just a veteran mentality, defense, physicality, shooting, spacing, and honestly just hopefully a chance of winning, like a winning mentality and culture to be able to set. When
you say a veteran, a really young team, like until Van Fleet went to Houston, like that was a very, very, very young team.
Yes.
Do teams actually need veterans to keep people in line?
It's not even about keeping people in line, but I think it's necessary because it gives guys perspective and it also gives guys a blueprint. When you're just a young group of guys, you're all competing for the same spots. You're not really worried about winning. You're not really caring about team outlook. You're worried about what girl you're going to talk to, and you don't know what girl to avoid. It's just a lot going on. So honestly, it's crucial that we have vets on every team. It's something that I'm actually trying to talk to the league about and make sure that it's either a staple or something like that going on. Because having a Taj Gibson, a Markieff Morris, Udonis Haslam, people like that in the locker room gives you not only the history of the league and what you've been through, but also might give you perspective during the game. Like when I got to Charlotte, I was like, Brandon, get to know the referees. Like no one's ever told him that, but talk to them, learn their names. If you call them Mr. Ref, you're going to be with them for the next 20 years of your life. These guys don't change, so get to know them. So these are the things that I feel like when you're a young team, you don't really get to hear. And veterans, I think, are really crucial in every team in the league.
Year 1 to year 2, you're talking about Brandon Miller, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Like Nick Smith. Those kind of guys. Year 1, I'm assuming eyes wide open, it's just I'm in the freaking NBA and making money. What's the difference in growth, even from your year 1 to year 2? What will they experience going into the second year?
It's that second year where everybody kind of understands your game now, and you have to continue to improve. My first year, I wasn't necessarily labeled as a shooter, and that second year, I came in as a really good shooter, and it's just a matter of continued improvement and trying to make your mark in the league, because you might have a great first year. I had a great rookie year. My second year wasn't what I wanted it to be. So it's just a matter of maintaining that same consistent mentality of competitiveness and honestly focusing in on what's important and making sure that basketball is your main thing.
Can you actually, if you focus on a specific skill, can you return to the NBA the next year with a new skill in your bag that they were not used to you having last year?
Absolutely. Like, I think I've improved year over year, especially with my handle and perimeter skills, playmaking ability, and then shooting for sure in my life. And honestly, just getting more comfortable on the floor and understanding where your strengths are, what spots you want to get to. And it takes time. You know, some of their best players don't really have their best years to their 8th, 9th year. So you look at a guy like Jeremy Grant, he's always improved. There's always going to be that continued improvement, especially when you're young. I was a 20-year-old rookie, and people thought I was old, like I was 24. I was like, nope, I'm probably the same age as most of these guys. I just went to school for 3 years. So there's always something you can improve on, and I think that, you know, I always make the joke, you know, people made fun of JB's left hand that year, and then all of a sudden next year, all he was doing was driving left. So you can really improve your game.
Last question, as a kid watching basketball, like your Mount Rushmore, the 4 players that you watched the most.
It's funny because you're going to laugh at my names because none of them were the cool ones. Like, I was a Boris Diaw fan.
Wow, yeah.
I was it's funny because Draymond Green at the time was one of my favorite players. Honestly, I enjoyed guys that were my position, my size. So, honestly, Chuck Hayes was another name. And the last but not least, a guy that I could never play like was Jamal Crawford.
Was there a chance for you to ever, your first year or 2 in the league, you ever get to do something cool like at the Olympics? We saw KD throw it.
Oh, I was there this year. I was interviewing the guys. I have video of me after the game because I was with Olympics.com. So I was able to be down there after Steph and all those different games. I was asking them questions, like, and they were like, what? Part of my French, Steve Kerr was like, what the F are you doing here? And I was like, you know, I'm just on the media side, you know, having a good time.
Did you ever get to do that in a game, though, where, like, somebody that was a hero of yours, you know, throw them an alley-oop or play against them, and you were like, this is kind of cool, this is my life?
My rookie year was Kemba Walker. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I watched Kemba as I grew up. And then all of a sudden, I get drafted to the Celtics, he signs there. Like, I told him stories about how he was at Providence Day School working out, and I was a 9th grade kid, walked up to him, introduced myself, and he had no idea and remember it, but he was the nicest guy to me at basketball camps too when I was young. And it's just like, I told him, I said, these things matter. So that's why I try to tell every rookie, like, you never know who you're going to meet, you never know who you're going to talk to, so try to treat everybody with respect. And at the end of the day, you might change someone's whole trajectory of their life just by one conversation.
That's awesome.
That's how I feel about you and me right now. You changed my whole trajectory with just one conversation. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me on.
Very much.